What I'm going to do now is talk to you about FME Cloud and introduce you to FME Cloud and explain what FME Cloud is. It's a new product for Safe Software. It's currently still in beta, but it's quite a mature product and it'll be coming out of beta relatively soon. But what we're going to do is just briefly run through what FME Cloud is, and I'm going to walk you through a few scenarios as well. So really, FME Cloud is just a new way to deploy FME Server. So it's taking our FME Server technology that you're familiar with, and rather than you installing that FME Server locally yourself on your own hardware, you're going to just simply allow us to host the FME Server for you. So this comes with a few benefits, which we'll talk about during the presentation. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what FME Cloud is. So if I go to here, so FME Cloud, it's a website you can log into. That's the first user experience you'll have. So rather than having to download FME Server, install FME Server locally, all you'll have to do is sign up for FME Cloud, which is at fmecloud.com. And once you've signed up, entered your details, you'll be prompted onto this screen here. So this is where you can basically launch FME servers from. So here I have an FME server running. I've called it dev, and you can see here I can access this link here, and this is a full FME server machine running on our hosted architecture. So you can see here it's a fully functioning FME server. We don't chop anything down or throw it away. It's just simply a new way to deploy FME server. So let's show you how easy it is for you to launch an FME server instance running in the cloud. So you go launch instance here, give it a name, so let's call this one staging. It's a staging machine. We've already got a development environment. Okay, staging machine. These are just the information about the server, and this is generating a URL here. So the next thing we need to do is choose which FME server do we want to launch. So this is actually synced to our build process, so we have the very latest FME server available here, FME server build 14308. So this is another interesting scenario. If you want to test new piece of functionality on FME server or test whether something's working or not, you can very quickly provision the latest FME server build to test your ideas out on. So the instance type, this is the size of the instance from the small starter instance with 1 core and 4 gigabytes of RAM up to the enterprise, which is 16 cores with, I think, 30 gigabytes of RAM. We're no longer constraining you by engines. You're paying for the size of the machine, the hardware. That's your price point. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. What you're paying for is the number of the number of engines you're essentially allowed to choose. So you could have one engine on an enterprise machine. It wouldn't be advisable, but you can go up to 64 engines as well, and that's kind of the technical limit that server can handle. We recommend matching the number of engines to the number of cores, so we recommend you go with the 16. We'll just launch a starter instance, which most people begin with to test their ideas with. So you can also, depends how much data you're putting up there as well. If you're uploading a big data set onto the machine to process, you need a lot of storage, but we just need some more instances. Okay, so I can do that now. I can click launch, and that's it. It takes about 10 minutes for the machine to launch, and then you have a fully functioning FME server machine that you can publish data to and start running your workspaces on there. Other benefits, I'll briefly show you here. The server's fully monitored by us, so we look after all aspects of the server. If something happens to the server, we'll alert you and advise you on action you should take. But you can see real-time statistics on the server, everything that's happening on there currently. We take backups for you on the server, fully automated backups, so you don't have to worry about backing things up. Security, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but you can have full control over the security of the instance. You can close and open ports onto the instance. You can also lock down specific ports to an IP address. So when I talk about an instance, that's the FME server machine. So every time you launch an FME server machine in this dashboard, you get a new self-contained, we call it an instance, running that FME server machine, and also a database for you to upload data into. And they're completely isolated, so it's your own virtual machine. No one else can access it. No one else can log in, and not even us without your explicit permission. So in this scenario here, once this one's launched, I'll have my dev server running, and I'll have a completely separate, independent staging server running. Okay, so obviously the ease of use there is one key benefit. You could launch an FME server without essentially having to do anything. It's just a few clicks and the FME server's running. But what are some of the other benefits of FME Cloud? So the first thing is cost savings. So for the first time, you get to access FME technology on a pay-as-you-go basis with no upfront capital expense. So previously, when you purchased FME technology, i.e. server or desktop, you've had to give us an upfront capital expense to purchase the software, and then you've paid annual maintenance on the software to keep up to date. What we're offering with FME Cloud is the ability to pay for FME server by the hour. So I'll show you the price in a second, but essentially you can pay from 1 hour up to running FME server continually in the cloud. And there's two different pricing models that cover those scenarios. So we have a pay-by-hour pricing model. So for the starter instance, that starts at $1 an hour, and it goes up to $13 an hour for an enterprise instance. And all these instances are extremely capable. Standard to enterprise all have SSD disks, and they go from 1 core up to 16 cores. We've had very good results just with the starter. You can run basic workflows on there and get things going. Now, the other thing is FME, Amazon is the provider that we use to basically give you the FME Cloud. So all of the technology that you see with FME Cloud is running on Amazon. Amazon is a big company, and they're always increasing economies of scale and reducing costs by basically making things more efficient. So last month, Amazon dropped their pricing, and so we can pass on those price savings to yourself as well. So a starter went down from $1 to 90 cents, and an enterprise actually dropped from $13 down to $8, nearly a 38% saving. So you immediately take advantage of their price savings. If you bought hardware on premise, you would have to wait till your next upgrade cycle to get to take advantage of the cheaper hardware prices. So there's two pricing models, as I said. One revolves around this hourly pricing. So you could just launch a starter instance for 1 hour, and it will cost you 90 cents. Some customers do this. They launch an instance for 8 hours a month, and they shut the instance down. And at this point, they stop paying for that instance. So they have a bill of $20 a month. Other customers run the server continuously. And if you run the server continuously, we offer an annual pricing on the instances ranging from $4,300 a year to $38,000 a year. So, this is about a 40% saving over the hourly. If you were to run the hourly all year, it costs you about $7,000. So it's about 40% saving there. The other thing is, let me just quickly show you how to stop and start servers. So this one's running here. So I'm paying for this now. Whenever it's running there, you're paying an hourly rate for that instance. All I have to do is go action terminate, and that will fully destroy the instance. You'll lose everything. The instance is gone, and you stop paying for everything. Or you can go actions pause. And if you pause the instance, you stop paying the hourly rate, but your data still persists. So it's like closing your laptop down or shutting the server off. The hard disk is still there. You're just not paying for the hourly rate. So lots of customers do this. They configure an instance, they set everything up, and then they shut the instance down, and then whenever they want to use it, they simply start it again and they start paying again. So there is a small cost for the data storage as well, but it's negligible. It's a couple of dollars a month it works out at for 10 gigabytes. So another benefit, no infrastructure needed. You used to have to purchase physical hardware or host FME server yourself in the cloud. This took up time, it took up money, and there was often a lot of barriers to you basically purchasing and procuring the hardware. In this scenario, we maintain the servers for you. We look after backup, security, and availability. So all you have to think about is your FME server processes that you want to run. You no longer have to think about the hardware, which is a huge, huge win. You can focus on just your project work. Backups, as I say, we take daily for you, and you can force a backup whenever you want. Security, we take security very seriously. It's obviously, we know how important your data is. Our entire business is built on security, on data, sorry, so we know that we have to basically secure the data as much as possible. We're doing lots of things in that side of things. If you want to talk more about that, then feel free to drop me an email. We have done things like we're working with third-party companies to do penetration testing, full architecture reviews, doing things like doing security code reviews and things like that. So, we're moving forward, and we're always pushing our security to make the products more and more secure. We're also running on Amazon Web Services, which is one of the most largest cloud providers there is. They have every ISO standard you can ever imagine. So we're leveraging their security in their highly secure data centers and passing that on to you. So we want you to focus on apps, not ops. We want to shift your resources away from server investments, operations, and move them to allow you to innovate on new projects. We know you don't have time for setting up servers and maintaining servers. It's not giving you any competitive advantage. It's really just slowing you down. So we want you to allow you to innovate with FME Server, use FME Server more. Now it's so cheap as FME Server, you can essentially spin a server up for a few hours, test an idea. If you think the idea is good, take it to your manager. If it doesn't work, then you can move on to the next idea. So it allows you to be really, really agile. So speed and agility. The self-service environment as well. We have team management, so you can add team members to the FME Cloud product and allow different team members to launch and provision capacity themselves, so they can get a server whenever they need to. The other thing is it eliminates the guessing on your infrastructure capacity. So if you want to basically start running FME Server at the moment, what size server do you use? Do you buy a 16-core machine or a 2-core machine? You don't know how big a server you're going to need. But with the FME Cloud, this doesn't matter. Let's see if this instance is running. So what we can do with FME Cloud is, you can see here, it's grayed out at the moment because the instance is paused, but you can resize an instance at any time. So you can turn an instance from a starter to an enterprise in less than 2 minutes, and you can go back down from an enterprise to a starter in less than 2 minutes. So this ability to switch out the hardware and only pay for what you're using not only gives you cost savings, but it also gives you a much better user experience. You're not going to find out that you run out of capacity and your service slows down because you can simply scale up. The other thing is data starting to move to the cloud. More and more we're seeing things like Google Maps Engine, Socrata, Mapbox, Amazon Web Services. All of our data is starting to shift to the cloud or into cloud-based applications. So if your data's in the cloud, why wouldn't you want the software interacting with it to be there as well? You don't want to have to open a hole up into your firewall to read in data from Socrata and write out to Google Maps Engine. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to have FME Server up in the cloud already, so it can read data in from Socrata directly and then write out to Google Maps Engine without having to come into your infrastructure at all. That is a much more secure architecture than having to open ports up into your own infrastructure. So as the data shifts more and more to the cloud, it makes sense for you to live up there with your other pieces of software as well. So there's a lot to take in there. If you sign up at fmecloud.com, you get a $250 voucher, and then I'll be in touch as well to walk you through any workflows you have. So feel free to do that, to give it a try, and yeah, I'll be in touch.